Dino Dan back with you with another video to help you navigate through some of the Dynojet technologies that are available. In this particular production, we're going to have a look at Dynojet's PowerCore software suite and TuneLab, specifically around tuning a Harley-Davidson motorcycle with Dynojet's PowerVision 3, or PowerVision 4. Let's just have a look at some of the previous productions that I think are going to be helpful for you prior to diving into this particular installment. So, Dynojet PowerCore software suite, there's a number of different little helpers that video productions that I've produced that hopefully have been of benefit for you navigating the software, utilizing the software. So, in particular, the C3 and WinPep 8 data sync, I think, is going to be helpful. The file type explanation, the table view, and there's also a previous production about PowerCore and TuneLab. But again, today's production is going to be focused on tuning a Harley Davidson, again, with a PowerVision 3, or a PowerVision 4. So let's just dive right into it. And I'm going to launch a couple of things here. We've got the C3 tuning software, and then we've got, for today's exercise, not dyno control. Don't bother clicking on that. But WinPep 8 data, which should be popped up right here. So here's some of the requisites that you're going to need to address. Number one, the latest version of PowerCore. You're going to want 3.0. Right now, 3.0 is only available as a beta version at the time of this production. It should be available as a production, a public release or production release, public release here in the very near future. So to get the beta release, all you need to do is go up to Tools, Options, click this little flag, get more recent bug fixes and beta releases, click OK, and then that will install for you. The other thing that you're going to want to take care of is if you're a Danojet authorized tuning center, you're going to want pro level permissions. And to get those, you're going to want to contact your regional sales manager, and they will take care of issuing you permissions that will allow you access to more calibration items, as well as the ability to use TuneLab, which is what we're going to talk about today. Now that you've got a few things figured out in regards to having PowerCore 3.0 with pro level permissions, what you're going to need in order to get through this exercise, of course, is your tune file here. In this case, we're using a tune file for a PowerVision 3 or 4, which is a DJT. Hopefully, you've watched that previous production I mentioned about file types. If this were a Dynojet PVT, meaning a file that's for use with a Dynojet PowerVision, the original PowerVision that we launched way back in 2011, this procedure is exactly the same. So anyhow, you're going to need your tune file open over here in this document view. That will expose the calibration. What might happen is a template will download from the Danojet server when you attempt to open this DJT. And then these calibration items will be available for you to to review and edit. What I also have here is a number of dyno runs on this particular bike. So it looks like I've got, I don't know, 5, 6, or 7 of these open. As far as the how these were tested, you can see there's some notes here that says 40% throttle, 30, 80, 70, 60. And if we look at grid view, this is pretty slick. We can see that the operator spent some time. We'll highlight all of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's scroll down. You can see that this operator said, all right, we're going to map out 30% throttle, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. And so you can see these little plots here along with the data. And hopefully you've watched table view to understand how some of this stuff works. It's very insightful. And as well, you can see that all of these are synchronized, which again is part of another production, WinPep 8 data and table syncing. So you should watch that in order to figure out kind of how to do this. This allows you to click anywhere and see where in the calibration you are on any of these tables, not just VE or air fuel, but for today's exercise and what TuneLab is really mostly used for is to correct this airflow model or VE table so that our desired AFR from the fuel table down here is respected um, at the tailpipe where we're measuring AFR or in the pipe preferably. So go back up here to TPS based front cylinder VE table. So again, two things you're going to need open. Dynojet tune file, in this case a DJT, and then a whole bunch of different log files. These could be done out on the street. These could be done on the dyno in a controlled method, as you can see, as these are. And in this particular case, what was done to the calibration is closed loop was temporarily disabled for the tuning process. And so this bike was taken out of closed loop and it was locked into open loop again just for the tuning process. And so you should go through that basic set of edits to enforce open loop fuel control. I can certainly, show you how to do that in another production. But in any case, the DJT, the WinPep 8 data log files, all staged up. You should have a tab up here called TuneLab. So once you click on TuneLab, there's a load built-in correction. If you have a separate expression because you built one or you received one or you trust that you have a version that's going to work well for you. What we've got is just load the built-in correction um, at this point. So these are actually embedded in the definition file. So again, when you open this DJT tune file, the template is going to pull down from the server, open up the calibration, show you what's available, and also it's going to have these formulas. And so you can see this dialog, load built-in formula, AutoTune Pro, open loop only. That's kind of just what we talked about. Open Loop Pro, advanced closed loop and open loop. I will talk about that in just a little bit, but let's start with AutoTune Pro, open loop only. This note is made because you're going to want to use this script on a calibration that was locked in open loop. That's what AutoTune Pro did on the original PowerVision. That was all handled on the device. For PowerVision 3 and 4, that is not handled on the device. It's handled here in software. But again, you can absolutely use this same exact correction formula or script or expression, depending on who you talk to in the industry or at Danojet. They'll refer to these things as different in different terms. So Auto Tune Pro, open loop only. Just select it. You can see the formula. There's some notes in here you're really going to want to pay attention to as well. As I mentioned, this can be used on a DJT or a PVT. So set this to true if you're using a PVT file, right? So this is false right now because we're using a DJT file. That's something you're going to have to manually edit. There's also a few things in here that um, you can edit, and there's some notes. So anytime you see this hashtag here, there are some notes that you should pay attention to. So this is a big one. What kind of file are you using? A DJT or a PVT? And that is something you're going to have to set manually. Um, this smoothing, more or less 100 works pretty well. And this is kind of a something you can set. Right now it's set to minimum AFR of 10. Don't show me anything below it. Technically, Dynojet wideband stuff doesn't anyhow. And then anything above 19, don't show it. You can tighten this up down to, 16 or something a little tighter if you'd like. Um, in any case, just some notes there to pay attention to. So I'll back up, and if you do need to edit those items that I just mentioned, we'll just click cancel, and I'll show you how to do that quick. Just hit this expression, and boom, it opens up in a table editor. We can change this to true, which is not true, right? We don't have a PVT file, so it's going to be false. But this is where I can't type. This is going to be where you make those edits that I referred to just a minute ago, and and that's that. You just click away from this, and that will be committed. If it's something you want to save and load it, so you don't have to mess around in that editor, you can just click save and then load it. I'm working with PVTs today. Name the file accordingly. I'm working with DJTs today. Name the file accordingly. All right, so over to load build correction formula. Load built-in correction formula, I should say. If you're all set, all you do is hit load selected. Okay, and a dialog will pop up here once we click the perform correction. So this green arrow. Okay, this is going to show you the AFR ratio 1, so that's front cylinder in this case, of the uh, of the tune. Click OK. And these are AFRs from the run files that are open. So not the tune, my apologies. So it's going to step through every one of these. You could have 15 different log files open and it's going to step through every one of them. I tend to just click OK blindly through here. Uh, and you can see that data that was collected at various operating conditions. And we'll keep going. Okay, so this is what it's saying. We're 9% off here, we're 2% off there, we're 7%, we're 6%, so on and so forth um, for our VE table front cylinder. Okay, so these are the suggested corrections that it would like to commit to your tune. And click OK. So again, I'll step through these kind of fast because I've got a handful of run files open. Now, if you say no way in no way in hell, Dan, these are incorrect. That's fine. Clip these out, delete them. Put something you do believe in here, just because of your experience or whatever it may be. This is completely editable, um, and you can edit this in any way, shape, or form that you want before basically you're committing this to. Um, your tune. There's also some functions in here to interpolate horizontally, vertically, to do bilinear interpolation, to smooth. So if I say, yeah, pretty good, but let's hit the smoothing button. Okay, just kind of rolls off the edges a little bit, makes these numbers a little more palatable. 2.60, they do get smoothed to their neighboring values here. And you can also perform math on any one of these values. So it's like a full-blown editor. There, it's doing its magic. It's done. So if you know anything about C3 and the calibration editor, it's got a ton of features. You'll notice these black bold values with a plus sign. This means this was changed. It went up. Pretty simple. Same thing for over here in the tree view. These are all not bold. These are. This is what was changed by that TuneLab script when it processed these logs from the dyno and applied them to this tune. This tune, there is some smarts that this tune and software level and these logs, they're semi-bound. You can still get dissimilar, a bike with the same software level and grab logs from it and open up a tune file from another bike with the same software level and let's say cross pollinate. So if you're doing a good job keeping, your tuning sessions in order, you're going to have a file for a customer, for a VIN, for a particular motorcycle full of all the data logs and its respective tune. So you're not applying the corrections gathered from a different session on a different bike to the wrong tune. Okay, again, this is TuneLab. These values have been applied to the VE table. And if I were a dyno operator today, I would then go and Go take my vehicle back out of open loop, put it back into closed loop, and my respective, I should say, target AFR table, which is over here in fuel, air fuel ratio. When we get to testing this bike, depending on where you've got the closed loop area set up, these are going to correct based on narrowband feedback. And then ultimately, these areas outside of closed loop are going to be respected if you've got your VE tables modeled correctly. Okay, so you can go through this session as many times as you'd like. It's very simple. Once you do it once, I think you'll have it whooped. Um, the other thing I wanted to show you while I've got you is that other load built-in correction formula. So pull it over here. AutoTune Pro Advanced. That's something that, you know, people that have been using Danojet Power Vision would not be familiar with. So Dynojet Power Vision had a few different things under the hood on the device. One was AutoTune Basic. It used your narrowband oxygen sensors to get feedback and correct your VE table based on narrowband sensors. Then we had AutoTune Pro, and that received feedback from wideband sensors to fix your VE table. And then there was another mode I won't get into, but nonetheless, there was never an AutoTune Pro Advanced mode. And what this does is really removes the requirement for you to set up this tune and lock it in open loop or put it in a state for temporary tuning purposes. You more or less are going to, again, capture data, whether that's out on the street or on the dyno, collect all this data, get it opened in WinPep 8 data center, and then this would include again that you have an area what likely looks like the table we just looked at, right? Some of this is in closed loop, some of it's in open loop. If you were getting set up to do some pro sessions, you might just lock all this up at, excuse me, at set my num lock here. Whatever it may be, 10, 11, 12, 13, whatever it is that you want to lock that out to. But in this case, we are going to allow this vehicle to run in closed loop and open loop, more or less just how it is out on the street. And so when you load this built-in correction formula that's AutoTune Pro Advanced, what it's going to do is use narrowband feedback in these areas that are in closed loop with some advanced filtering to avoid accel enrichment, noise, and decel enleavement or DFCO. And so in this area, again, it's going to be using the narrowbands. And then when you jump out of closed loop into open loop, the formula is such that it will use the wide bands for open loop feedback. That could be likely from your dyno AFR system in order to fix the open loop areas in your VE table. So works pretty well. It avoids setup of the tune, if that makes sense. And so, feel free to try it. We feel it works pretty well. So I'm gonna go ahead and cancel this for a moment. Hopefully, you've learned a little bit about Danojet PowerCore 3.0 and how to use TuneLab on your Harley-Davidson motorcycle with Dynojet's Power Vision 3, or Power Vision 4. So I'll be back another day with another production, hopefully to give you some insight, some help on how to use some of these, what I feel are pretty powerful tools that I look forward to the contingency of Dynojet tuning centers that tune Harley-Davidsons with our Power Vision product lineup, just to make that process a heck of a lot easier. So thanks for tuning in.